Hello everyone, my name is Mikael Syväjärvi and I have a materials research background, and since a few years I have started some companies and I've been active with such translational activities. And what I will do now is that I will tell you a little bit about my journey, and the hope is that this will inspire you. And what I have done is that I have recorded some pieces of my story during different periods when I have been traveling and doing different activities. So here's an introduction. So now please join me on my travel and my story. Let's go. For a startup, there are always many activities to do. So one has to consider all the different aspects, and it's very good to mind your step. One part about the research and the innovation work and all these activities which are related to this one is that you have to travel a lot. You have to spend hours and hours traveling, and also a lot of time sleeping in hotel rooms and so on, so you're away from family and so all these things which are very crucial for the good living of life. So it has its needs to pay, but also it's rewarding once you come home and you find out all these contacts and discussions which you had during such meeting or event, or if you're open to these ones, you will meet people and you will benefit from the contacts and you will get ideas, you will get new ideas and so on. So all this traveling and meeting is a part of a startup company or any startup activity or any startup project or any project. And in order to achieve possibilities, that is a part of it. So this is my hotel room in Brussels after a meeting where we got an opportunity for cluster networking. So as a background, I started my career at the university doing the Master of Engineering education in program, and after that I got involved into the research, and I made my PhD in 1999 in materials science. And we had some really nice, interesting research areas, and what I was particularly pushing for was new avenues, so not the traditional ones, but try to find new perspectives and advantages from the materials research and properties which we have for the materials in our case, and in my case it's silicon carbide. So then we found a couple of avenues. One is silicon carbide for white LEDs in general lighting conditions, so that's another field to the traditional transistor applications. But it was a really exciting research avenue which we opened up together with collaboration partners in Japan. And actually it was that case where I had my first startup experience. We started with this collaboration, and then it was quite much interest into this particular type of white LED technology, and we had the materials fabrication process. So we started that one, and at some point it was discussion about technology transfer. So now we have a venture in Japan on development of a white LED using a method which we have developed in our team. So that was my very first experience, and it was a lot of different things to get that in order, and it is not possible to handle those things yourself. So what we did was that we teamed up. I was the materials expert, and then we had one business guy, and then we could describe this case. So this combination is really useful, because no one can manage to do everything yourself, and you're not expert in these things, and I'm not the business guy. I can maybe suggest some things, but it's better always to team up. So that was a combination, and then we made a technology transfer of of our process to Japan. So that was my first case. So the good thing about traveling is that you have to walk a lot, to go to meetings, to meet the people at different places. And also this gives you an opportunity to meet old friends, because you're making new acquaintances in the research and the business and all the organizational meetings which you have. And for me this is now an opportunity now when I'm in Brussels for a meeting to discuss the cluster activities which are beneficial for key enabling technologies. So now today I will be meeting a Swedish guy, a friend of mine, who works at this place. And also one good thing about walking, when you need to go to the train station and so on, you get actually some lovely views on the way. So this is one of the castles in Brussels. And then the second case, it's about graphene on silicon carbide. And the background is that we had a process already about 15 years ago, or maybe 17, for thin graphitic layers on silicon carbide in 2001, roughly. And then we made those thinner. And we got to a one layer of carbon in 2005, and then some project activities and a nice paper in 2010 at the same time as the Nobel Prize. And the benefits of the graphene on silicon carbide is that the graphene has very high quality. So you can produce it over a large area on a wafer, and it's also bonded to the substrate, so it will not remove if you are in a solution or anything like that. And it was quite much interest in our material. So there was a lot of research collaborations and more involvement into different projects, and people got material. So one day, 2011, we decided that maybe it would be good to start a company and start to sell the material. So we were quite fortunate that we had built up so much interest in the material with researchers that we could have sales from the day one. And that's also a very good case for materials, because it always takes a long time. So in 2011, we founded our second company for graphene on silicon carbide. So those were our first two experiences in starting up companies from the research. And of course, it's a lot of work during many years and many hours, and you will realize this once you start up and start with all the activities. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun if you just go for the things you're interested in. So that is one very big part of these things, that you're motivated with the things on your personal basis. It's not the financial or economic or how to make exit or these things which are the driving forces, at least not for me. But if you're genuinely personally interested in these things, then you also benefit from it from a mental point of view, and you learn yourself. And then it will be worthwhile all the hours you spend on the different activities for a startup. And in my case, the third experience in starting up, it has a longer story. A few years ago, it was decided that there will be a smart specialization strategy for the different regions in Europe. And I participated in the work to prepare for such, so it was a working group, and I contributed with some input. And then it was decided for 5 strategic areas for our region, and one of which is the advanced materials. And I become more and more involved in the regional work and supporting them. And at some point, when it has been growing larger, I founded a consultancy company for this activity. So it was more on my personal skills than any outcome from the research. And my thinking now is that how to explore this concept and think bigger, the region, nationally, worldwide, to be a part of the advanced materials community and create opportunities for more people. Because one startup activity is nice, but it will not grow more than regarding that startup company. And always when there are more people involved, you can find good group teaming, and that includes with the companies, and you can make 1 + 1 to be 3, because you benefit so much from the collaborations and exchange also in such startup community. So now my plans ahead, or hopes ahead, is that I will be more involved in those activities to benefit also from a more larger point of view. And of course, we have to find a balance with the life, family, and all these things which are very important for us, and do our things at home, so we manage and get energy to do all these things for startup and all the different activities. Also when traveling, it's very good to come home and do the dishes and all those things which makes you not think, but you get energy from it. And nowadays it becomes more and more internationally. There can be national activities, regional activities, but always when you are having a larger technology which can have an impact on the society globally, there's a need for collaborations and exchange internationally. So in fact, during last years, I have been very active with the exchange with India, because there are so much possibilities in India. In Sweden we might have some technologies, but the people need to be more active. And in India, when I have been there, I've seen that the students and the researchers are very, very active, knowledgeable, and so on. So I think the combination between Swedish innovation and Indian driving force could be very, very strong. So this is also why I'm so happy to have this opportunity to present some of my experiences from the startups and the background from the research and my journey during the last almost 20 years in this field. And I really hope that you will make it. And hopefully one day you can maybe tell me that you got inspired from this Swedish talk, far, far, far away from your event, but internationally, we are a team.